Scott Brooks is doing absolutely everything in his power to make sure that Deni Avdija is not controlling the ball at any point in the game. So why did you draft Deni Avdija ninth overall? Because the guy can handle the ball. He's 6'9". He can pass. That angers me beyond belief.
Really quick, before I begin, if you guys can smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, this seriously makes a huge difference to my videos and lets YouTube know to recommend this video to a brand new audience. So thank you so much for doing that, and let's begin.
I want to dig a little deeper, and really what the Wizards are trying to do with Bradley Beal out, they're giving Deni Avdija a little bit more of a chance. He's starting again, as is Jerome Robinson. We're getting a deeper look into what the Wizards are trying to do with this wing rotation. Avdija had the 12-point game against the Pacers, followed that up with a 1-for-10 performance. What are you seeing from these guys, Anthony? Is this even? How can we even assess these players given the situation? Are you worried about Deni Avdija shooting 1-for-10, 1-for-7 from three? Like, how do you assess what the Wizards are, I guess, doing with this wing rotation?
I'm definitely not worried about Deni's shooting at all. Yes, against Charlotte, it didn't look the best, right? 1-for-10, 1-for-7. But Ben, 1-for-10. I'm going to take the silver lining out of here. The kid actually shot. He put up 10 shots. I'm happy about that. Go
7
shoot.
of them were threes, man.
Go shoot, though. Hey, at least he's shooting.
All right, I'm gonna get into this.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm rooting for guys to miss shots, but I'm happy to see that Deni's actually breaking out of his shell, being more aggressive, shooting the ball. I mean, he could have stopped at 1-for-5, right? He could have stopped at 1-for-6. I mean, keep shooting the ball, continue to keep your confidence, because guess what? I mean, we know this with Davis Bertans too, Ben, right? I mean, slumps happen, especially with shooters.
I want to dig into this a little bit deeper with you, Anthony.
Go ahead.
I want to talk to you about this. Look, Howell Neto was out. Bradley Beal was out. The only point guards on the roster were Russell Westbrook and Cassius Winston. Cassius Winston has been a second-round pick. He's a rookie, hasn't really played at all this year, and got some playing time on Tuesday. Scott Brooks is doing absolutely everything in his power to make sure that Deni Avdija is not controlling the ball at any point in the game. So you mentioned the 1-for-10 shooting. He went 1-for-7 from three. He was a spot-up shooter. They're playing him like Trevor Ariza, slide him in the corner. God hope he hits the three. That's kind of his role. That angers me beyond belief, because I got in Twitter debate with Bullets Forever, and shout out to Bullets Forever again. But they kept saying, like, how do you know he's a point forward, right?
Yes, you mentioned him being a point forward in your initial tweet. Yeah.
Why did you draft him? If you're Tommy Shepard, and let's pretend you're Tommy Shepard for a second here, Anthony, why did you draft Deni Avdija ninth overall? Because the guy can handle the ball. He's 6'9". He can pass. You didn't draft him for his shooting ability. He shot 50% from free throw with Maccabi Tel Aviv. You knew his jump shot was still in progress, and he is showing that he has decent form and he can knock down some threes here and there, but he's not a catch-and-shoot shooter. So now your primary guards are out, and Beal and Howell Neto, and you don't even let the guy bring the ball up the floor.
Rewind back to the beginning of the season. We entered the season with the knowledge, with this of Deni. His shooting is going to be a work in progress.
Yeah,
he's not going to be a good rebounder when the ball is in his hand. Ben, I couldn't agree more with you. I really do agree that this kid is more of a point forward. He's 6'9", and when given the opportunity, you can't, because Scott Brooks keeps giving us, these kind of excuses. No, he's not ready to play, point guard. No, he's not ready to have that role at all yet. You need to learn. He needs to continue learning over the season. He's told us this all season long, but we haven't seen him get the chance yet, really. Besides, really training camp and preseason stuff, and really little instances here and there. But Ben, no, I think 100% Deni Avdija can be that point forward that you were arguing for, and I think that he can be now when given the opportunity.
Out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he can't, but you got to find out. With all due respect to Cassius Winston, what good does it make sense to give him just random minutes off the bench? I mean, he played 11 random minutes off the bench, didn't do anything. God bless him. He's a rookie, but
random minutes is that's the theme this year. Random minute.
That can't be the theme because now you're punting on Deni's development again. You have the chance to find out whether he can play point forward, whether you have another ball handler on your team, and whether you have a special sort of player in the league. Because when you look around the NBA, how many point forwards with 6'9", 6'10" point forwards are there in the NBA? There aren't a lot. So you need a guy like Deni Avdija to show up, and you have to make sure that you're utilizing in ways that are expanding his game, and you're using him for the purposes you drafted him for. If you wanted a catch and shoot shooter, why didn't you draft Sadiq Bey?
Ben, it seems like these in between players, like a Troy Brown Jr. before he left too. There were disagreements within the organization how to play these guys. Maybe that's the case with Deni Avdija too. He's 6'9".
You got to make a change. I'm sorry. You're wasting time. Sorry, these kids are 19, 20 years old.
Exactly. No, that's where the frustration lies on this show. Lies with all the fans. Lies with everyone in their camps because wasting their time, wasting like a year of their career. Come on. I mean, what is an NBA average career? 3-4 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
That's what it is. So that's ridiculous. You can't waste these kids' time. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And it's a really sink or swim league. It
is. Oh, it is.
If you have a bad rookie and sophomore year, and bad by just like statistical measures, because if you look at Deni's stats, let's be honest, most people don't watch the Wizards games. When you watch Deni Avdija's, you look at his statistics, you think, man, this kid might turn out to be a bust. Look at him. He's averaging 5 points. He's fouling out of games. He's missing these 3-point shots. But when you watch the games and you're assessing how this team's approaching his development, it's pretty clear that the kid can hoop. He's got a ton of talent. He's of course raw. He's only 20 years old, but he's shown that he has high-level basketball IQ. He makes simple plays. He rarely makes the wrong play. The Wizards have a good one here, yet they're turning him into a spot-up shooter that he never was.
He's not that.
Draft him to be a spot-up shooter. They didn't draft Troy Brown Jr. to be a spot-up shooter. Yet here we are. You're right, doing the same thing with that they did with him. And I urge, again, I'm assuming nobody on the Wizards is listening to this, but if I could speak to them, I would tell them, these things are urgent. I understand they're young players, but these careers come and go, and their development is not to be wasted. You can't waste lottery pick after lottery pick on players only to turn them into players that you didn't intend to draft. You wanted a spot-up shooter, you should have drafted one. Deni Avdija is not that guy.
And the layout teams get in the NBA, you have a good amount of time. You have 3 years.
Right.
Your lotto pick, you got 3 years to develop. You got 3 years to make a plan. Yeah. There was no plan set in place for Troy Brown. Right now, there looks like there is one in for Rui, and we're seeing.
Rui's making the plan, though.
Yeah, you're right. He is, and Rui's playing great.
He's taking. Look, he took 25 shots on Tuesday, 24 the game prior. He's clearly with Bradley Beal out. He's grabbing the ball by the horns, and he's taking advantage of the opportunity in the sense that he's shooting some bad shots. Because I guarantee you, he's thinking like, hey man, if I'm not going to shoot, who is? If Scott Brooks not going to run plays for me, I got to make sure I run plays for myself.
Dude, it all circles back to exactly what you have been saying, and it's just ISO. It is just Bradley Beal handoff after handoff, and that's not on Brad. It's not on him. It's not on the players.
You can throw Brad into any offense, he'll figure it out because he's that good.
Exactly. He's that unbelievably good, but still, for this team, winning-wise, like for winning purposes, it's just not the recipe, but that's not up to them, right?
It's not, and for Deni Avdija, for a player like him, his disposition, Deni Avdija is not going to be the guy who just starts driving the ball to the basket just to prove a point or starts throwing a.
He's a rookie. He can't. No, he'll get yanked.
Some players would. Some players would, but Deni doesn't have that personality, and to a fault, it hurts him. But truth be told, if he ended up on the team that cared about development, or at least did it properly,
again, to go against. For Deni to go against the game plan like that,
there is none though. That's the issue.
And but we've seen him already get chastised on the sidelines by Brad, by Scott Brooks. I mean, obviously they are in that position for sure, but still,
you just wonder. You wonder if the team had put genuine time and effort into developing these players, what they'd have. And Deni Avdija is so clearly a talented player, and it hurts me to see him in a situation where his talents aren't utilized correctly. And
so now, are we saying this is as similar as Troy Brown Jr.'s?
It's the same movie. It's the same. Movie.
So Ben, I know that you know people within the organization that have told you pretty much that there were disagreements about Troy Brown's usage, and as well as other journalists around the league as well. And if we're going down that road with Deni Avdija, not a 15 overall pick. Now it's your 9 overall pick.
Yeah. Who was projected top 5, by the way.
Right. Fell, got in our eyes, I'm pretty sure you can agree with me, Ben, a steal at that.
That's what they said. That's what Tommy said. I mean, Tommy.
I still believe it. I still believe it. When given the opportunities, it just seems that the opportunities lie when Bradley Beal's in. The opportunities lie with Brad and Russ, and everyone else. It's like there's Rui a little bit here and there, but it's mainly those two, and everyone else is there to play defense. There to set screens. I mean,
play defense.
And I don't want to make it sound just like that, but it's so tough to watch. Just not the most fluid offense, and really two guys, play their ISO game because they're that good. They are superstar studs. They're that good. But
before we move on, I'll say
not the recipe.
In a Q&A, Fred Katz, who's I'd say probably the most prominent Wizards reporter right now, was asked whether Scott Brooks would get an extension, and he flat out said no. So I'll say that before.
Right, and we know that our good friend Fred Katz, he's got friends within the organization, so that is probably very accurate.